Welcome to DashBored, fellas.
How are you?
How you doing?
Good evening.
It's just another night in paradise. Here in January, in the winter, is that the idea?
Oh, it feels warm tonight.
Ooh, I guess. It's,
Wind is nasty today.
this was a wild day on the road.
Yeah.
A bit sketchy.
Yeah, I'll agree with
Mike
that.
and I bonded over that. We were nearly in the ditch multiple times. Sketchy.
Yeah. There was, actually, that was yesterday. There was a car in the ditch on my way to work. It wasn't bad enough to be in the ditch, so I'm not sure what they're doing, but it takes all types.
Yeah, well, you catch one wheel and you're off. It's,
Yeah.
it's an adventure.
Certainly is.
We're going to start today by talking about Mike's Cayenne. We would like an update. We're all sitting here with bated breath.
Where were we last week?
You had put
the
the
rack
roof
on.
rack
Roof
on. I
rack
was part
on.
of it. It was a nightmare.
Yeah,
that part.
that's right. So a week later, nothing real to update. Just driving, putting fuel in it, and driving it, enjoying it.
Okay, we're going to need a calculation on the increase in fuel consumption when you have it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Roof baskets
Yeah.
have a cost.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So
How much noise do they produce?
I'm not hearing anything, really. I do have a little whistle that was always there on the right front door,
Okay.
but it has an increase. So I'll keep an
interesting.
eye on it.
That's always my concern.
But
with them.
yeah.
You're not driving fast enough.
Could be. Could be. Fuel consumption before roof basket was 17.8 liters per 100.
Okay.
So we'll see. Maybe hit 20 with the roof basket.
Just trucks. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's fuel. Just put fuel.
It's fuel. They make it every day.
Exactly.
So have any wheels been dropped / painted /
No.
Okay.
Now, yeah, Ryan threw me for a loop.
Yeah,
and
don't even
sent
get
me a-
into this.
Sent
Come
me a
on.
picture on a
What do you mean?
white
Why you don't look at me? What are you coming at me for?
on the white Trans-Siberia wheel.
Oh,
I'm against.
So
oh, I
I'll put
forgot
that
about
out there.
that.
we'll post a picture. Don't worry.
White on a black car, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually quite like the look. So I
Are you
sent him a
Are you
picture.
going to clean them for
No,
him?
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's
But
true.
how often is he cleaning the car anyway?
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
not
No,
much.
Mike's not going to clean it too
Exactly.
often.
Like
Not much.
I don't think that matters. They get a nice
Twice
shade
a year?
of gray, whitish, blackish, and then all of a sudden they've got a nice.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for paint anymore.
Maybe if we take it to a Cars and Coffee this year, I'll wash it. But
Right.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
will.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to need the tire in the roof basket. So far, he's resisting putting the tire in the roof basket.
because I don't have a matching one to any of the sets I have now. so
Who's even going to know?
Yet.
What?
Like, who's going to know if it matches?
Yeah, it doesn't
Mike will.
matter.
No.
You're just going to see rubber.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Who cares?
To
Can't
spend,
have like an off-road tire on 4 wheels and then
Just put your donut up there.
all season up top.
A bright red steel wheel.
Yeah,
to pay $250 for a tire to stick in a roof rack does
No.
seem like a step too far.
yeah,
So,
seems weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe you could go to a tire shop and just ask them for a scrap. Like honestly, what does it
I'm
matter?
on Marketplace all the time.
Oh,
Don't
really?
worry, I'll find
Okay.
something.
He's got a couple.
Have you been out back of a tire shop? There's hundreds of them. Just go take one. Just find one that fits.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to. Just sit up there.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is next week we'll ask again, and there may be.
And I'll have some calculations. Of
Okay.
Maybe
I would like
maybe
to know
we'll
that.
send some wheels away. Yeah.
I would also like
That
to
would
know
be
that.
sweet.
Yeah. I can comment on fuel consumption increase by running a roof rack on my former diesel Jetta. Cost 15% extra every tank.
Yeah. So we'll hit 20 liters per 100. I'm sure.
Yeah. I also had a roof rack at one point on my 2001 GTI, and it did make a significant difference in both consumption and wind noise.
But did it also make a significant difference in coolness?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah. Worth
problem.
it.
Yeah, they do look awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
My-
When a child says it looks cool, you know you've won, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because they'll
my,
tell you
Oh
it's
yeah.
my 3-year-old this week, once in a while, he'll be sitting down and he'll say, "Can we look at cars in your phone?" And so, of course, sure. And I pulled up Ryan had taken some pictures of Mike's Cayenne a couple weeks ago now. And he goes, "Ooh, that's cool." And I said, "Well, what's your favorite part? And what's your best?" That's what he says my best is. He goes, "I like the thing on the roof."
Yeah. That's
So-
sweet.
I love that video.
Fully
I forgot
in-
about
That
that.
was a
a
good
win.
video. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Was
Very
he
wholesome.
was he also eating cereal or something?
He had grapes, mouthful of grapes.
Right.
and-
I like all of it.
Like
It was
a
all
little
good.
chipmunk.
Yeah.
That's a perfect analogy for him. He just stuffs it in his face. And
I don't know how you
sits
feel
there.
about your child's face on the Zucker web, but
Yeah.
it'll be a funny video to
It
post
would
on our
be.
story.
Yeah, we could probably arrange that.
We'll just put a happy face over him. You know. All right, we'll circle round. I expect a
Circle
weekly update on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
controversy hit the
Interwebs.
web. Yeah, the web this week with the first spy shots of the Cayman EV, or the suspected Cayman EV.
Yeah, I think, and this is like an updated round of spy shots. Like I've seen some from a year ago.
Oh, sure. Even longer, probably.
Yeah,
but
definitely
they've
longer.
always been Boxster.
Oh, good
They've
point.
always been convertible. That
yeah.
was why this was a bigger deal.
I missed that nuance. but
Yeah.
Yes, you are right.
I'm open to thoughts on what we think of this black test mule.
My first thoughts were Taycan Junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front end for sure.
Front end,
It's got the identical front end.
Exactly. So
Obviously not as wide, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I commented this, I think, to you guys, but I agree with Porsche seems to be going in this general, that's like their brand identity is the face of the Taycan. I think it kind of looks 911-ish though, which is weird to me.
But I think you said that because of the rear 3/4.
Yeah.
It was a particular photo that I could see exactly what he said. As soon as you said that, I was like, no, I agree. However, my heart still flutters that we might get a Cayman, because I'm a loyal Cayman owner. I'm sad that I hadn't seen one. Like, there was all these Boxsters, and I was like, where is the...
Oh, you were thinking maybe they're just
Yes.
killing the
Away
Cayman,
with it.
period.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. So I still have a light suspicion, so I was just happy to see, like, oh, we've got a mule on the road that
Yep.
actually has the rest of the body.
yeah.
You know?
I agree with the 911, especially the mid section. And I don't think that the like silver window trims helped it.
Yes.
It
No,
made
fair
it
enough.
really look like a
Did.
911.
And you know
fair
what?
enough.
They are really clever with these camos and disguises. So maybe that was all part of the plan. Throw people off and
Yeah,
say like, oh,
yeah.
it's just a weird 911. But
maybe that roof's going to come off and say, hey, new Boxster.
oh, is that? Remember bringing back
Cruel
the
joke.
Yeah.
the hardtop convertible?
Yeah, the
from
the
98.
Miata RF or the Cayman RF, is that the idea? What do you call retractable folding,
you
something
go.
like that? I don't know. I'm torn on it. I honestly, your comment about the Cayenne headlight or the Taycan headlights, I think it's dead on. But I got to be honest, it doesn't offend me. Like, I'm okay with the Taycan headlights. I think they look pretty slick.
Yep.
They're very modern. I think that front end looks good. It's not a design language that offends me. You know.
Where do we think that, there's been rumors and some conversation about whether or not these brands, manufacturers, are actually confident in their plans to roll out EVs. So, I mean, they're still testing this thing. Presumably, they're going to bring it to market. But, do we think that it's going to be a success, or are they kind of just going to float it out and maybe just hodgepodge another ICE motor into this thing?
I think they could follow the Macan lead, which is appearing to be at the moment that they've had this dead in the water birth. And they're now immediately, all the language is that we're going to shove a ICE into that vehicle, internal combustion engine, into that chassis or that platform. I don't want to call it a chassis. It's clearly a unibody.
Yeah.
Especially with everybody losing their funding for EV.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a big
Isn't that
hit.
a thing? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, will that come back? Maybe, but probably not under a PC government.
No,
We won't
yeah.
dive too deep into politics
Nope,
here.
no,
but
fair enough.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it is probably gone.
Yeah.
I secretly hope that they launch that new Cayman in the electric version, whatever, that's fine. The entry, the base, the whatever, all these models. And then they give us a new GT product that they shove. You know what? We've got some 4-liter blocks left over. Let's blow them out before the GT3 and everything has to bow out.
Yep.
I would be really happy about that, because I think the new design looks cool. I'm looking forward to like a modern interpretation. Just for reference for anyone who doesn't follow this that closely, the Cayman design you see on the road today was first revealed in 2015, end of 15, beginning of 16, somewhere in that window.
that's right, yep.
At least in concept, and then rolled out for production in early 16, 17, somewhere in there. So it's long. It's long in the tooth,
From what I've understood, that because there was some comments, allegations, etc., that they were going to your point, Ryan, stuff an ICE motor into that same one.
Yeah.
I think what they've said, well, that's not really possible, but they haven't shut the idea down of, well, we might develop a next-gen Macan that has the capability of being ICE. Or, I mean, to your point, I think that for sure. I mean, they just released their year over or 24 full sales numbers. 911's up, I don't know if it's 20%. It was a pretty significant number.
Right.
And also 2,500 or 3,000 more 718s were sold than the year before in North America, which is a huge number comparatively.
That is a
speaking.
large
So,
number, especially for like what they're really shooting for.
yeah. So, I mean, they're staring this in the face going, oh, we're having one of our best years ever on this, on a car that, to your point, is 8 years old. It's not a new fancy, model, and they're going to kill it for this EV. So
Yeah.
I'd be nervous if I was in one of their boardrooms.
I thought the whole thing was silly. Like the moment they even started floating the idea 3 or 4 years ago, I was like, what are you doing? Like, this
Who's
doesn't
buying
make
this?
sense. You're killing your entry level product.
Yeah.
The entry level product shouldn't be $170,000 start 911T that I can't option the way I want. You're stuck with that stupid wooden shift knob. You're stuck with that blue
Shots
architecture
fired.
on the wheels. I like a wooden shift knob, but I'm like, hold on, don't force me to take this. I
Yeah.
don't like that. It's kitschy.
That's true. That is the only option. It's not like you have to pick it.
No, I
Yeah.
don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I would, but I know what they'll do. They'll go, oh, you want a leather shift knob in there? No problem.
Yeah.
That'll be $4,600.
Yeah.
And it'll take an extra month to produce it because we got to ship it across the road and then put it in a line of people that are overthinking.
They're
their
great at
911s.
like packaging those interior options together.
No doubt,
Right?
no doubt.
Or here's your GTS for an extra X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I think I just don't understand, and we've talked about this with Buzz or Macan EVs or whatever. Who is out there pining for an electric sports car? Like, I mean,
Definitely not me.
we can speak with some authority on this. Like, I mean, you've got a 718, which you bought in part because it's a great platform. It's sort of the last of what's coming. I specifically put my name on a list to buy one because of the fact that I knew they were at least saying outwardly
Yeah.
they're going to end production.
Yep,
You're not going
yep.
to be able to buy this anymore.
Yep.
And I mean, everyone says the same thing. You go into dealerships and they say, what do you think the uptake's going to be on an electric one? Everyone goes, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, there's no waiting list, to the best of my knowledge, or people looking to trade their Spider RSs in or their 718s to get on the list to pick up the next 718 EV.
To be fair, there's always an early adopter. That's one category, and I think there's always probably someone who's willing to buy it, thinking that they'll get a GT car allocation
Sure.
down the road.
Yeah.
They'll commit to it, but you got to be ready to eat dollars. It would
Yeah,
scare
that's a
me.
big
It would just scare me.
depreciation.
Yeah. That being said, I'm not offended by the idea of driving an electric sports car in principle. I'm just not going to rush out to like spec one and buy one. I don't care about that. I'll wait years and enjoy it just try it. Who cares? Let's see what happens.
I'm sure they'll, Taycan apparently is great to drive. I mean, I've driven one on a 2-lane highway at 60 kilometers an hour. I didn't push the thing.
Yeah.
It was great. I'm sure this car will be fun to drive.
Yeah.
But it won't have the right noise, and I just think that takes away from the experience hugely. So
Yeah.
I'm sure as a sports car, it'll carve canyons. It'll do what it's supposed to do. But
Yeah.
I don't think people are gonna go for it.
Maybe I'll just throw it in that if any of our listeners are, number one, the kind of person who's got an order in for one or their name on the list, or number two, an electric sports car now, we're happy to hear from you. I mean, we're not haters.
What are we missing?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Teach
are
us
we-
about. Well,
we're not?
I'm not a hater, but
I
teach
am.
us about it. Teach us. Tell us why it's awesome. Not a Taycan necessarily. I'm thinking of whatever there is in the sports car electric world. I'm not even sure there's
Yeah, I was
anything
gonna say,
on the
what
market
is
yet.
there?
Is there anything? I don't know. Well, if you've got something
Currently?
interesting, there's a guy locally who's got a Tesla Roadster. We should get him on. He could be
When did
interesting.
those actually come? Like 05?
What?
When did those actually come out?
The Tesla Roadster?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Long time ago.
Yeah,
It was
it's
a
based on
long
the
time ago,
Vauxhall VX220, which I think is based on an Elise, isn't it? Something like
they're
that.
definitely at least based.
Definitely
yeah,
at least, yeah,
yeah,
look-
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, me either.
I think
Anyway.
those were like 2010-ish, but maybe
I don't know. Maybe it was.
I'm
I don't
wrong
know.
with that.
I don't know. Well, DM us if you are the guy with the electric Tesla Roadster. We're curious. Anyway, the rest of this episode, I think we're going to shift to talking about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I feel that I've rubbed off on some of you. We're going to talk about Kaleidoscope, and I'm going to hand the mic over to these three guys. We're going to ask questions to me.
First off, what is Kaleidoscope? Tell us what Kaleidoscope's all about.
Kaleidoscope is my corporate tagline. It's a celebration of the cars and colors of Porsche. Because I think there's a lot of silver and a lot of black and a lot of white, and I like all of those. But I also love to look, Porsche's produced 500 different paint colors. Let's look through the catalog and see what we can find.
Yep.
Interesting. So,
And the people who drive them.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
definitely.
very good
Yeah.
point, Mike.
Yeah.
That's actually a secondary. We can go into that later, but yeah.
So the four of us know what this is, but you actually didn't exactly. You need to elaborate. So it's a celebration of cars, but what does that
Really?
mean
Didn't
exactly?
I? We get, well, the idea sort of is that we get one event per year where we bring a selected group of cars together, stuff that's been sort of hand-picked. I hesitate to use the word curated because I think it's overdone. But we hand-pick cars. We have people apply. We hand-pick based on a venue and a background and a view, and we insert cars where we think they're going to make sense and colors that are going to work well together and photograph well. And I guess if you're really looking at kind of the overall ethos, which is we're looking for like somewhere between a Cars and Coffee, which can be a rambunctious craziness, and a concourse lawn show. We want to land in the middle because I'm not super into cars on golf courses. It's not really my thing. I want to look like that type of staged, well-prepped event, but I want to do it in a more kind of urban environment, which maybe sounds a little like some other players out there, but some of those companies have gotten quite big, and we're looking to keep our event small and keep that community tight, as Mike alluded to.
Yeah, interesting. So when you say you're hand-picking these cars, what makes these cars the ones you pick?
Well, that's an interesting question. If I'm really honest, I think we end up looking through, number one of the goals is to spread the models, right? So we don't want to have, it's really hard in
That's
the Porsche
very
world.
difficult.
Yes, it is. I recognize that. We want to try and spread the models. So in year one, we had, my memory serves, a speed yellow Macan, which as soon as it popped up on my applications list, we were like, yeah, we want to have that car, 100%. Next to a Guards Red 996 GT2, a total like left turn. And next to a bright orange, which I think was Gulf Orange GT4 RS. We target to spread the models as best we can. It's not easy. To be very honest, or to insert a plug, if anyone's got a paint to sample Cayenne, always listening. Reach out.
Yeah, very difficult to find.
Yes, there's one here in the area, and I've managed to see the lady get out of it at the handicap space here and there, and I'd love to have her on. I'd love to have her.
Couldn't catch her, right?
Well, she just disappears in the blink of an eye. But she walks.
see her at the
It's not,
start. I
it's
see
not
her-
she doesn't walk. She walks, but it's an older lady. So I'd love to have her vehicle though, ruby
Talking
red
the-
metallic.
Oh, I was
Is
thinking
it?
the yellow one.
No, ruby red metallic on a Cayenne
the
GTS.
yellow
It's
one.
so nice.
Ooh. I was going to say, isn't there sand yellow? Is that what it's
Yeah, I
called?
don't know
Yeah,
what it's called.
that's
but
different.
It's like
This is new.
957.
Oh.
This would be like a 23.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm talking about what you are.
Yeah,
a
the 957, I think.
-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry on, Dylan.
Yeah, interesting. So let's bring us back from day one.
Yeah.
Let's not get too far ahead. I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
at one point.
Yeah.
So, what made you take the first step and do this event?
That's a good question. I alluded to it earlier. I love going to like these little get-togethers, Cars and Coffees, chit-chats with all the car community. But honestly, I started to get tired of the rambunctiousness at Cars and Coffee. It's a little
lot
crazy.
going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's
And we're not elitist, but you get other brands there. as
yeah,
well.
and I have no look, man. I love a Nissan Skyline, and like I'm into it. Like we're all good, but I'm not super interested in the revving engines and the
The Lambo guys.
there's some
Yeah.
noises for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I'm not pinning
C8
anybody
vents?
specifically, but this is another guilty. I hate to generalize, but it's a guilty party for sure. They like to make noise and Mustangs, and I like all of these cars, but I was looking to elevate a Cars and Coffee. I was looking to take us out of that space just a little bit. If that's kind of the original. It was going to Cars and Coffee multiple times because I was always going and enjoying it, but it was always a little bit like, I need to plan around this. Oh, there might be too many people. Someone's going to yell at me, want me to speed out of the parking lot. Some kid's got his phone out looking to take the reel when I crash the car. I'm like, I don't like any of that. I was losing interest in that. So that started to form in my head the idea for it. And to go farther, it was cemented when I attended 000's event, Rare Shades, which was in Toronto.
Yep.
Which I think they had done like 4 or 5 in the States, and I had never been to any of them. But when the one was coming to Toronto, I was like, okay, I need to go and see this. And that was at the extreme side. Like that was really
They had some
fancy.
crazy. It was at the Aga Khan, was it not?
Yeah, Aga Khan Museum. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which is an amazing space, but
Yeah.
one can only imagine the price.
Yeah.
It was given to me later how much it cost, and I was a little bit shocked. I was really like, that was staggering. Anyway, it was that event cemented that I didn't want to go that far, but I really enjoyed that event. And in terms of the kind of staging, presentation, food, that's not really what we were looking for. You know what I mean? We wanted to be one kind of somewhere between the Cars and Coffee and that, but not quite that high.
Yeah.
Or that, I don't know the right word for that. I don't want to discount what they did because it was an amazing event, but I was not looking to reach that level necessarily.
So you dream this up. I mean, we've all been to both events. There's a third one coming later this year, which we'll get to.
Hey, thanks for coming out. Appreciate your support.
Yeah. Well, 2 of us bought tickets. I don't know. What
We're not sure if I did for the first one.
So, I mean, you do what you do, and we're not surprised that you're able to pull this off. But talk to us about, how do you find these cars? How do you convince people to go? I mean, we're in Canada. Some of these cars are, some of them not. But London also is not like a mecca of
Colorful
Porsches. That's a good. Yep.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So people are coming from all over. So, you've done your sales pitch, but overall, like how are you getting these people on board?
I mean, you said it right there. I sell them. It's not to be honest, it was not an easy go the first time around.
Yeah.
My first step was to go to the local Porsche dealer, have a conversation with them, try to network to some of their clients. I'm not being unfriendly when I tell you that door was closed. They were not going to reveal clients. They were not going to network.
Right.
They were happy to help us in terms of support, but they were not going to create the network. Social media is a powerful tool. You occasionally see a snapshot of a back corner of a car or something. You reach out to somebody, you text a guy, you ask around, you get a phone number, you send that guy a message. You're hoping you might find someone who's got a gem tucked away in the garage. But the finding cars is not easy. There's no question about that. And
Yeah.
I do consider that the biggest part of the job, especially for the first one. I was very lucky at that time that Porsche Canada kind of very quickly signed on to the idea. And they provided us 3 cars, I think, and sent a team of executive guys to drive them down for the day.
Oh, wow.
Which was great.
Yeah, that's great.
So if I recall correctly, the Speed Yellow Macan, the Mamba Green Taycan Cross Turismo 4 or something, the wagon.
Yes. Okay.
And it was a YouTuber press fleet car. It was a coffee beige metallic, some sort of color like that on a Taycan, which we parked on the ramp at the brewery. And that car was a brand new delivery. It was literally a brand new car, which had been brought in to be sent home to the momfluencers. That's the vehicle that they were going to drive around for.
Really?
That's why it was spec'd exactly as it was spec'd. It was sort of this non-offensive beige color and a non-offensive beige interior, and it was going to be the car that they were sending to these people that were, posting "Get Ready with Me" and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Just to be clear, these are Porsche Canada's marketing views, not Ryan Open.
Correct.
Ryan's.
Oh yeah, no, correct. Yeah.
You don't think moms just like beige cars?
No,
do
no,
you?
not at all. No, but that was their strategy. No, you're right. Apologies, I maybe sounded a bit, but that was their
Interesting.
So we were lucky to get them on board. I was posting pretty regularly about it on Instagram. I was reaching out. I was networking, and I got to know enough people through the Porsche community, which has been excellent to me. But I fully understand there is a perceived force field around Porsche people. I fully get that, and when you're on the outside, it's not easy. But once you're in that bubble, the perceived bubble, it's not that hard to make a moonshot text message or reach out via Instagram DM.
Yeah.
But I had a plan in my head, which was I'm never looking for specifically paint to sample cars. I'm just looking for colors that we don't see all the time.
Yep.
So I'm very happy to have a white car, very happy to have a black car. I like all of them. I just was looking for stuff that you didn't see all the time. And we were lucky in particular on the first one. I think the real showstopper for me was probably the Ruby Stone 964 RS, the real one that had come from Monaco, like the real car. Lived its whole life there and was shipped into Canada, 6 months previously. And it had been sold and was leaving Canada to go into Arizona. And I, in a friendly way, was able to just hold on to it for a period of time before it got shipped down to the owner in Arizona. And I, in fact, was nice enough to send him photos of his car because he asked for some.
Yeah. Well, there was some great I mean, that was certainly from photos afterwards. That one kind of stole the show. And it happened to be parked by yours, which was great.
Well, to be honest, we were supposed to have a maritime blue car. So we were supposed to represent the original 964 RS color package. And the car canceled within the last few days. So it was originally going to be the mint green, the Ruby Stone, and the maritime car. The maritime car was a 992 GT3 wing car.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, really special vehicle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just kind of looking for special colors because it just always made me sad. There's so many colors and you just don't see them. So I was looking, right? I don't care if we have 5 shades of silver. I still think it's interesting. Look how many silvers they have.
Yeah,
like there's
true.
tons.
They got a lot of silver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I know.
So the first event, that was kind of we were lucky to get it off the ground. I think the math was we sold around 250 tickets, and we had 44 cars, maybe. I don't remember exactly, something like that. I was really happy. We, as Mike alluded earlier, the community means something to me. So we make a point to, if someone's especially coming from far away, we were offering kind of a package, right? You signed up, you paid to register your car with us. we offered to work with the local Porsche dealer, store your car, clean your car, especially because if you were driving it from any distance away, took everybody out for a nice dinner, showed them a real kind of Canadian night. Don't want to let these people drive all the way here and have them sit in a hotel and be bored.
Right.
You know, might as well drink some, what's a Canadian beer that I should throw in there?
Probably a Molson X.
I was going to say,
Drink some Molson X.
Oh,
50,
50. Yeah.
50. Gross.
we don't want to, yeah.
But yeah, that was
gotta be
kind of,
able to get
it's hard to remember exactly how it went, but it was, you know, that overall is between the Cars and Coffee, the lawn event, and hand selecting a group of cars based on models and colors, which was not easy. But
Yeah. So when you first designed or thought of this vision, did you really think of the photography the most?
Yeah, 100%.
Because
yeah, that was the goal.
that's what I feel at these events when you stage them, the cars you get, the people it attracts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of photographers.
Yeah, you made me think of an interesting point, and I really, really owe a lot to a real gem of a human being, Lucas Scarfoni, who I just reached out to him over Instagram and said, "Hey, I'm planning something. Would you make the effort to come and look at it? I'll buy you lunch." And he sat with me, and we probably killed 2 hours at the venue I was looking at, and honestly, I could tell I sensed it in 5 minutes that he thought the venue was perfect.
Yeah.
And the idea was, he thought there was a good fit for that. And to be fair, I had also bounced that idea off of Will Lee from PTSRS. The first person I approached was him. And I said, look, I don't want to do something if I'm going to step on your rare shades. And he said flat out, you should do this. I think Canada gets ignored. That was it. So I went to Will. Yeah, and I consider Will we're not super close, but I can text with him and we're friendly, and we keep in touch a lot. And I'll send him cars, and we chat about owners, and we you kind of start to know the network. Yeah. It was Lucas's kind of sign off that I remember we were walking around that first site. And he just kept using the word elevation. It was like the word elevation was being thrown into this conversation. And I went home from that meeting, and to be very fair, I don't think I ever even bought him lunch. I think he said, "Get me a coffee, and we're good."
And plain donut, probably.
I don't remember. There's no Tim Hortons there, so I think it must have been a Starbucks. I don't remember. Anyway, I came home and I said to my wife, I think we got something here. Like, I think that maybe works at that venue. And we were lucky at that venue because we really did have good elevation. You had lots of places you could get a camera up high. And the answer simply to your question is, did we think about photography? 100%. So I asked Lucas, and I asked another good friend of mine, Elliot Bulger, who is Your Car by Elliot on Instagram, and he looked over the space, and we just kind of moved on from there. And it's really nerdy, Dylan, but that venue didn't have they didn't have like a CAD drawing. I asked for sketches of the space, and they didn't have that, even though they just built this whole property. And so a good friend of mine, Charlie Cordemanch, and I we probably spent a day there, 8 hours measuring with a measuring wheel and drawing and sketching. And then we drafted that sketch on SketchUp properly. And then we even supplied it back to the venue, so they had that drawing, because we wanted to be able to measure everything. And you've now been involved in Kaleidoscope on the second round, and you were there, and you've seen the tape on the ground and the details and the measurements.
It all matters.
It does. This man is boots on the ground.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So at the third venue now, one of the kind of goals on our checklist, which was nicely put together by my friend Mike here, is that we need to get in and measure the space and get all the sketching made up, because a lot of these places just don't have it.
Yeah.
So this is the part where maybe you need to sell the audience on what is the third one going to be? Where is it at? What are you looking for specifically this time? How many cars are going to be there? Why you should come? Why you should buy a ticket? All of that.
Make me sing for my supper. I see what you did there. First of all, maybe I'll go backwards and just talk about them in order, chronologically. So the first event was at that a factory site that was being heavily renovated with a effectively limitless budget and really foot to the floor, and a lot of beautiful brickwork. Lucky enough, a Porsche Canada guy had come down and seen the site also, and had very clearly referenced, which I think the building in Zuffenhausen is called Work One. And he said to me, this wall looks like Work One, where we shoot the CXX cars in front of this brick wall.
Nice.
So it was a really nice kind of circular moment.
Yep.
So that was venue one. The second one, we purposely looked for something different. And
But
to really
similar.
yeah, and to go backwards to just around the beginning of the first one, or around the launch, like around the official show day of the first one, we were already in contact with the second venue. We had been chasing that guy for months, and to be fair, the second venue was not a venue. I mean, that was the challenge, right? It's a business office courtyard parking lot.
Yeah.
So a different look. I think the icon shot that came out of the second venue was the gorgeous bright fire engine red wall brickwork painted on the back of the tire shop next door. And we staged that really carefully with, if my memory serves, a signal yellow GT3, an olive green GT3, a dark sea blue GT3, and a viola purple metallic wing car 992. We staged that very carefully because we thought that wall is an icon moment.
Yeah,
that was gorgeous.
I've never talked about it on the podcast, but I know you guys have heard me ramble on. There was a Panorama magazine shot which had inspired the second Kaleidoscope, and it was a yellow 914 in front of a gorgeous bright red wall. And I had this image, and I was chasing that signal yellow car specifically to get that guy, to bring that car. That's the photo. Dylan has it in his hand. That was the inspiration photo for the venue 2, for the second space.
Panorama episode.
Edition,
796.
Yeah, that was the inspiration photo. And I had that on my desk for months.
July 2023.
Yeah. So I had that, and the event was in 2024.
Yeah.
So I had that in front of me for a long time, thinking that's the spot, and I want a perfect yellow car there. And the car had to have silver wheels. It was in my head that it had to have. So I knew the car I was chasing specifically for that space.
Well, and all of us helped out to a certain extent. Me less so, but I did have the privilege, I guess, of parking that row along the red.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
The drivers all thought that I was crazy, but it was really just an extension of Ryan's craziness, because I was like, no, like you need to be a little bit over. And they're like, give me like a reference. I don't know where you want me to be. Like, because I mean, again, you wanted them all perfectly in a line, perfectly spaced, this far away. So, but I mean, to your point, it all mattered in the end. It looked extremely good, and some of those pictures are some of the best that came out of.
Yeah. So that's venue 2. Thank you. Yeah. I really appreciate that. Venue 2 was, that wall felt like the icon shot. At the first event, I think the icon shot was probably, there was a widespread from up above, and there was a couple of photos that were taken really nice in the back alley at venue 1, where you had I think it was a Baltic Blue 930 Turbo, Guards car. Red 718 Spider. There was a nice spread. There was a Sport Classic Gray 992 GTS, and you had this nice width. So you really had a good distance between each car. So there was no, I'm going to call it no infusion of one car into the next. Like, they were really nice and separated, and you got that really nice color spread. So venue 1 and 2 chosen like that. The third space is totally different. So we're moving. The third space is in Hamilton, and there's a lot of levels to that. Again, the math is, if anyone's looking to do something like this, it's a lot of work. And the math is that we started talking to venue 3 before number 2 had even occurred.
So secrets we don't even know.
It's a lot of work just to get people, because to be very fair, they don't understand it. I mean, they're hosting weddings, and they're hosting those types of events and garden parties and things like that. They're not hosting a bunch of cars that are being staged specifically for photograph. But anyway, venue 3 is totally different. It's a 130-year-old cotton factory, literally. It's the oldest cotton factory, I think, in all of Hamilton. So we're moving to Hamilton, closer to the GTA. A couple different thoughts, different look to the space, and also different crowd we can pull in, because we recognize we can pull from the Greater Toronto area. There's obviously a lot of cars tucked in garages.
Yep.
And as the showrunner of this thing, I love nothing more than finding an owner who's got a long list of things tucked in a garage. Those are always fun.
Which you are very good at.
It's a networking thing. It's a full-time job, honestly. It's I had 3 calls yesterday about Kaleidoscope. I had 1 today, and I have 2 more on Friday. So it's usually a network to another owner, or we're very lucky to have some excellent sponsors that have come on board with us over the past couple of years, and I will meet with 2 more of them this week to try and get more. I should have probably noted this. I feel like it's a bit of a miss, but the first 2, let's call them episodes, the first 2 events, we donated all of our proceeds to the Humane Society here.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to say we got to tour the new Humane Society last week.
Just made a good, a brand new building, right?
Yeah, it's an $18 million building. So we were only a small dent. I think we paid for 1 dog run.
1 door.
Right, one run, something like that. Yeah. But I was very proud. I have to say, it was an emotional evening to walk around there and see this new building, because what inspired all of this, at least in terms of the charitable side of it, was touring the original Humane Society, which is like 150-year-old. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's a 150-year-old building. It smelled. It was leaking. And I just remember thinking, walking out of there and going, these guys need money. And the director at that time was this eternal optimist. And I shook his hand and told him that I didn't understand how he could do it, but I really appreciated it. So that was there's always a charitable side to our event. So this year it's a little different. We'll retain some of our proceeds to try and help us cover some of the costs of the next year's event, just to be upfront with everybody.
Yep.
That's a change for us. We normally donate everything, and I put the stuff out of pocket. But Space 3 is totally different. A lot of brick walls, a lot of really older stuff. And the space has been used for lots of filming. So you'll probably have seen it on multiple television shows. I could name lots. They've shot there for years. They're probably there now. Last time I visited the space, there was film crews and vans everywhere.
Yeah.
How
many cars are you targeting this year? So when people buy their ticket, which go on sale when?
Friday. January 31st.
When this episode goes live.
Correct. Same day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Which is why we're doing this. At the time
link.
it seemed, hit the link in the bio. It's in Eventbrite. We're using Eventbrite as our partner to sell tickets. Guest tickets are $30. Anybody that's coming in is $30, and cars we're registering for $100. And again, proceeds to the charity.
Yeah.
So we haven't selected our charity for Hamilton, but we're working through a list of people, and we'll figure out where that money's going to go. The space. 40 cars, ballpark. Yeah, different look, totally different. That's sort of the idea. We want to keep evolving that look. And I say this now because, doing this event is a brutal grind. I say that, will we ever do a fourth? I don't know. I hope so. We got to find a great venue.
Will.
That's not easy. Got to find the right spot.
It gets a little easier, though.
I think so. We get a little more momentum now.
Yeah, a little more people willing to step up before even asked, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't mean on the volunteer side or anything like that. I just mean just literally people coming out, people with cars.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to bring my car back down. I got buddies coming from wherever.
Yep. I'm proud to say in our first year, we pulled a car all the way from a really great dude, Nick Hansen, shout out. Weekender Nick on Instagram. He drove his 964 all the way from Colorado.
Yeah, that was sick.
To Virginia, and then drove it up to visit us for Kaleidoscope, and then drove just past Chicago on the way back before it broke down.
Hey, that's pretty far.
Sorry, Nick, but we really appreciate you, man. The second year, I think Nick was the farthest the first year. We had multiple cars come from Chicago area, Baltimore, DC. And then second year, DC, we had one guy come from just outside New York City. A good variation.
That was a beautiful car.
Yes, it sure was. The other, we're looking at season 3 here, or episode 3. There's cars already I've been talking to in Virginia, again, Tennessee, those areas where it's sort of that under 10-hour drive. You can get the miles, and I'd love to pull some really special cars out of garages, but not everybody wants to drive them that far, and I get that, so that's okay. So that's part of the thinking with getting closer to the GTA, right?
June 8th, right?
June 8th, it's a Sunday. It goes 9 to 1, same as before. Stage all those cars nice and early in the morning. Don't show up early.
Yeah, stay
You're just
away.
in the way.
Yes.
I really appreciate you, but you're in the way. Lots of, I was pretty proud last year. I think we got, it's hard to say exactly, but I probably got 4,000 or 5,000 photos shared to me in albums. Really appreciate all the photographers coming out and sending us and sharing their photos. And it's actually hard. One of the things I find most personally challenging that day is to be able to maintain the event, talk to 1 million people, and then also try to manage the social media front, because it's a new world. I mean, your phone is going constantly with people tagging photos, and it's so hard to keep up.
Yeah, watching you last year was hilarious. It was just run around like a chicken with his head cut off and not really sure what to do, trying to you're given 20% a time here, 20% time here. It's very difficult.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's a real grind. I was thinking this year, it's on our list of items to check off to whether we need a person on the day of the event to manage the social media, just because it's an exhausting. I mean, I recall coming home from that day, I was cooked already, I was tired, and I just spent hours sharing the photo. I mean, I must have had 90 or 100 DMs. I mean, it was relentless, right? I really appreciate all that. I'm not saying it's a negative, but it was a ton of work. But we're so lucky because the photos are really something. And again, references that we look for that. We try to measure everything, give the best possible shot, get wide angle, different shots.
It's funny how like creative the photographers get. They're looking around at the sky and they're like, "Hey, can we get up on that building?" And you're like, "Nah, I don't know." And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, you're like, "Whoa, they're up there."
They're there. It is amazing. You're right. It is amazing. You're right. They can really create things out of nowhere. I find that amazing. And I'm not a talented photographer. I consider myself more of a documentary photographer. I just take a camera and take photos of things.
Yeah. But, and it's so interesting. You get 30 photographers in there and you'll get 30 different aspects.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They will take like shots. Nobody will take the same shot.
Yeah.
No.
Very rare.
Once in a while, I see one that's close.
Yeah.
But then that they've edited it differently or the colors are different. And one thing it is hard, right? There's so many colors in a photo. You get this real rainbow effect in a photo, which can be very dazzling, but also hard to edit. So I recognize that these guys are committing tons of time. These men and women taking all the photos. There's a lot of effort to edit these. I'm always staggered how fast they can get me an album.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like within a day, I'm like, holy moly, I got 50 photos.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is incredible. You know, it's...
Do you want to give any teasers out? Like what's maybe one...
No, I can't.
No, okay.
We play that close to chest.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Some new cars for sure.
Yep.
We have always some logic that we'll have repeats, and we're totally fine with that.
Sure.
Because some of these people are just great people. We want you in the community. We want you. We want to have your car here.
We want to have you here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't play. Sorry, man. It's not all nailed down yet. Of course, registration isn't open, but I have some conversations ongoing with specific people.
So let's give you a break for a second.
Please.
You've been talking forever here.
Yes. Yeah. How long is this going to break? Because I might go down and let my dog out for a pee.
Would you like to introduce your dogs? They've been quite front and center.
Continuously. I can hear him downstairs. I'm sorry, this is a real world here, but he's been barking continuously, so I might run down while you guys chat.
Sure.
I'm going to mute my mic, but I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Absolutely. So when Ryan's gone here, Mike, let's start with you.
Yeah.
So first Kaleidoscope experience. What did how did you get into this?
For me, that's basically when I met Ryan, was right before, and I just found him on Instagram. I saw his mint green GT4 like weeks before, literally. And I didn't even know it was him running Kaleidoscope. We got talking a little bit, and then I already bought my tickets to Kaleidoscope. And like it was like a week before, and I'm like, oh, hey, you're doing this? Yeah. I'm like, do you need a hand? So came out, volunteered, me and my wife for the day. And for me, it comes down to the people. And it was like year 1 and year 2.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you just come down from this high almost. Yeah, because these people are coming from all over, like the US, Canada, for one common thing. And it's the Porsche community and colors and the people. You hang out for a weekend and it's just like, hey, I got to be involved in this. So here we are, year 3, and we're deep in it again. That's my take.
Good. Sean?
Honestly, I can't remember. So a friend of mine and I went. I remember, actually, there's 3 of us to the first one. And I can't remember exactly, like you, Mike. I mean, I kind of knew Ryan, but not really. I wouldn't say we were like friends. We were like acquaintances. We talked on Instagram. I admired his cars, etc. And the fact that they were all of these Porsches going to be in one place in London, and it was interesting. I mean, there were some fantastic cars there, so I was super excited to go. You'll remember it was a bit of a cloudy.
Yeah,
it tried to rain a little bit.
Tried to rain in the morning for sure.
Yeah, I do remember that.
But it turned out great, and I mean the whole thing. I remember the Powerhouse, which was the brewery / restaurant, was on site. They were open. I mean, we had like breakfast tacos and a couple pitchers of beer.
Delicious.
It was a fantastic morning. And then so I was, got to know Ryan more, I think, over the next 12 months. And like you, I said, hey, like, how can I be involved in this? How can I help? And help sort of stage the next event. Didn't get involved too much in the planning, but the next one really for me was, that venue was fantastic, and just the whole day. It was a perfect June day. It was cooler.
Yeah.
Remember that. But same thing. I mean, there's just, so the first one I was there for the cars, right? I shuffled around, looked at them, took pictures, didn't really engage with that many people because I didn't know any of you that well. Mm-hmm. But the next one I did make a point, like you said, like there's so many interesting people there that interesting cars, made a point to get around and talk to people. And like, that was really, in addition to seeing them and all those, taking your pictures, et cetera, like just talking to all the people and, learning where they come from, why they're here, why they're interested. It was great. So yeah, for me, looking forward, it was certainly from a car sphere, it was probably the highlight of my 2024.
100%.
You know, it was a great summer day. Just and for the third, you know, coming this year, we'll look forward to it again. We do have a car themed road trip, which we talked about before, which probably will be the highlight of my car sphere for 2025, but we'll see.
Tough one to beat.
Kaleidoscope might compete. So.
Well, I picked the right moment to come back. Wow, your highlight of 24. I really appreciate that. That's high praise. Thank you.
Yeah, we decided to stroke you while you were out.
Wow. Well, I'll just listen to it. I wasn't in the room, so we're all on the same page. Wow, I'll listen to that when I can hear the episode on Friday. That'll be interesting to hear how that went.
Yeah, so I guess my story behind the first one, and I've told you guys this before.
You snuck in.
yeah. How many did you guys have? How many? 250, and I was 252.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. 260. Yeah. I don't remember exactly where it landed. 260 or 250, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So the story goes, at the time, I didn't own a Porsche.
I didn't know any of us either.
Didn't know any of you guys.
Episode 1, we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Great buddy of mine sends me an Instagram post at like 9:00 at night on Saturday. He goes, "Hey, this event, you seen this? Like, this is going on tomorrow
in London."
Yeah, like down the road. Hey, let's go. Sure, I'll clear my schedule. Let's go. So I think we brought his daughter. I think he was babysitting that day, and we just walked through.
By the way, can I just clarify? It's called parenting when it's your daughter, but I make that mistake sometimes.
Oh yeah. No, that's fair. As
I really enjoyed that.
Person,
I was wondering if someone was going to swing that one. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny. So we go in the event. We have honestly, I really didn't know what to expect, and I'm not a photographer by any means. We spent a couple hours, I bet, walking around. Didn't know anybody, right? So we didn't really interact too much. Just kind of kept to ourselves. And I just remember, like, we kind of went up some stairs to like a second level, and it just looked like Skittles were thrown on the ground.
Yep.
Like, it was pretty funny that way. Like, there was no two colors even close to the same. And I think I do say, like, that event is what made me pick a colored 911 over a black one, because I was just going to buy a black one. I didn't really even think twice about it. So
that means a lot, Dylan. Thank you. It's a little cheesy, but it means a lot that we actually had some influence.
Yeah, no doubt.
Honestly.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Because I thought, oh, you know what? Like, look at these cars. Like, all these people. I just screw it. Life's short. Like, you can always get a black one.
What was the timing from Kaleidoscope 1 till the first
good
purchase?
Good question.
2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, really? Was that fast?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't playing around.
Wow, I did not know
Something
that.
like that.
Okay.
I would guess 2 to 3 weeks, maybe.
Wow.
And remind me, Kaleidoscope 1 was
June. It's always the first or second week.
Okay, so I did not have. I think I got the allocation in July.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So I was hoping to be a Porsche owner, but I wasn't at that time either.
Yeah. Okay.
What thinking back, and we'll circle back to you on this too, Mike. But of 1 and 2, quickly, Dylan, what was your favorite car from both events, or your favorite from each event? I guess is what I'm asking.
Ooh, is a good question.
That is a good question.
I would love to answer this, but I will wait.
That, you know what? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, you can think, Mike. If you
honestly, it's the first one that I'm questioning. I have 3 that are tied for the second one for sure.
Yeah.
It's the first one that I don't have a actual winner.
That's okay.
Think.
You can name a few.
You know what? That's a good question.
I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Mike, you give us.
Jeez. I don't know. I'm a big vintage guy. So the air-cooled ones, there was was it oak green metallic? There was
not vintage. There was a sport. Was it a sport
that
classic?
Sport classic and oak green metallic. Yes, the first.
There was
one.
a vintage one. Was it a gold?
I can't remember.
Yeah, palladium.
Palladium. And then there was the Baltic blue one.
Yeah.
Love both of those.
Yep.
The sport classic, oak green, beautiful. Lucas's car, always great.
Yeah.
2, and this will probably be agreed on by the whole table, is David's dark sea blue.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's a pretty car.
God,
there's no question.
Car.
It's a pretty
one
car.
of my 3.
That's
Yeah.
What's the other one? Anthracite
Brown.
Targa.
Yeah, Mike's car.
That was my top.
Yeah,
it's got to be my top.
I feel like almost everybody thought that was their top.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Okay, well, listen, I only want to insert really quickly on the Palladium car from K1.
Yes.
The Palladium car is an interesting story. It was a Porsche Classic restoration car from Porsche Center, Winnipeg.
Was it?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
and it's clean. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Owned by a really lovely guy out of Toronto, and he drove it down from his cottage that morning from Owen Sound.
Nice.
Oh, that's a haul.
It is a haul.
That is a
Yeah,
haul.
yeah.
That's a
I was
nice
really
drive,
impressed.
though.
Yeah, but a really beautiful car. Well done. He told me some story about it. I don't remember exactly, but I think it sat at Winnipeg for a good while. It was one of those things they had built it and had it as a show off thing.
Yep.
And I think he just sort of mentioned to them he would buy it. And at some point they phoned and said, okay, it's available.
Yeah.
But a really good dude and has a couple of Porsches.
She was a beauty.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a pretty car.
I've thought about this, and I won't have to think long. So you have 30 more seconds still to firm up your answer. But I agree with Mike. That Palladium color car was fantastic. The Baltic Blue car, if I'm not mistaken, had color matched wheels, which I pissed
definitely
upon last. But I really did like that one.
It fits that car beautifully.
Yeah.
And we staged that in a big wide open space, so
Yeah.
it became a photo on its own.
It was very good.
Yeah.
I think though that my favorite at that time, and I still am really sort of in love with that. I hope is it Porsche Racing Green, the lighter green Aston Martin sort of
Sure.
that Spider.
I know the car.
Oh yeah, that was
was
it.
Silver
beautiful.
wheels.
Yeah.
Silver stitch contrast. That was probably my top from the first event.
Yeah, I actually do agree with you on that one.
And-
That one
yeah.
was sweet.
Yeah. Like, shout out to the guy. Like, it was raining a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Top was
down.
off.
Top down, he didn't
yeah.
care.
Yeah.
He's a
But
great
it-
guy.
It had just sold and the new owner hadn't taken. Is that
Yeah, that
right?
car has
Oh,
a funny
classic.
story. The original owner had the car for, I'm going to say a year, maybe, I don't know exactly. And he had actually registered the car to bring it to the show.
Right.
And then at some point I discovered a photo of the car under someone else's Instagram. And I was like, oh, what is this? And I realized that I texted the first guy and I said, hey, did you sell this? And he said, oh, yeah, I told the guy to give you a call. And so the new owner was gracious enough to say, I texted him and he said, hey, I know the car's registered. I'm just going to bring it anyway. And I was like, oh, wow, great.
Oh, nice.
And it really is a beautiful car. And I've had the pleasure of riding in that car, which was both exciting and terrifying. It has full Dundon headers on it.
Oh, dear.
And makes one insane sound. But it's kind of contrasting because it's a very elegant looking car.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of that color because Porsche discontinued it, I think maybe shortly after that car, like in that window of time, the end of 23 maybe, something like that. But what a fabulous color. I love that color on that car.
Yep.
It's perfect.
And for K2, by the way, I can't spell Kaleidoscope to save my life, so I always just say KS.
That's okay.
So K1, K2, I'm with
That's
you there.
fine.
Yeah.
David's Dark Sea Blue.
Oh, really? 2 for
911.2
David.
touring.
I'm going to text that guy tonight.
Fantastic car. And he stuck somehow the sticker that you made, like the logo.
Yeah.
And he stuck it right on the side of his car where we talked about Pegasus a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
It just played perfectly against that color and it looked like it belonged there. So, I mean, he's a legend. I love that car.
He's a great guy.
Love everything about his ethos and he's a winner.
Shout out, David. You're an awesome dude. We knew it when we met you, man. He's a cool dude.
Okay,
for sure.
You've had now 5 minutes.
Yeah, you
gotta
got
come up
lots of
with
time,
something.
Dylan. You ready?
Yeah, no, I mean K1, I agree with you.
Okay.
On your green.
Okay.
I do.
Yep.
That was a winner. K2 Viola was beautiful.
The wing car.
The wing
Yeah.
car. The viola
Yeah.
purple metallic.
That was beautiful, but I think the signal yellow for me.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the one that, like, if you asked me before the event, I'd be like, well, don't really care to see it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that one, I
Sold you.
rolled
It
in.
sold you on yellow.
Yeah,
now.
I remember, like, I was.
Yeah, I like that story. You've told us that before. I always find that amazing that we managed to put the right car in the right spot and got his attention.
A bit of a yellow convert now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but yeah, no, the signal yellow, like school bus yellow, that car, oh my god, it looks so good.
It's a beautiful car. And the Cohiba interior is just such a
that's
nice
it,
throwback
right?
vibe. It really fits the car. Short story, he did Euro delivery on that, and I was so jealous to get to drive a car like that up the Furka Pass in Andermatt in Switzerland, and he drove all the roads in that beautiful car, and I thought that was a real dream. It was amazing. I watched the whole thing.
I remember texting or Instagramming this group with, because as we've talked about before, I sort of frequent the dealership. It's close to my house, and this signal yellow touring and brake dust all over the wheels. It had these, I don't know, they're Swiss plates or whatever they were. It's just a sticker on the front. I'm like, oh, this guy did Euro delivery, and like, look at this car. And lo and behold, he was there and got to meet him. So
It's an awesome car.
yeah.
Are you going to ask me to name a favorite?
Yeah. Oh, you're part of this.
Look, to be fair, politically, I probably can't.
It's like a child, right?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
Like
'cause
you're
I
babysitting.
love all of them. I'm sort of attached. If I had to pick out some highlights from K1, a real highlight for me was the Tom's Linden GT3
Yeah,
Touring.
beautiful
I
car.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
And
Wasabi?
Wasabi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be
Yeah.
fair, we never really discussed this, but part of my logic with Kaleidoscope was always to roll in what I would call surprise cars or star cars. And we kept his existence completely off the radar. We brought him in under, quiet afternoon to the Porsche dealer, stuck the car into the garage, closed the door, didn't allow anyone to photograph it, kept it really quiet, polished it up. And then when he rolled up that morning in the rain, I was like, this car just looks incredible. And I'd seen lots of photos of it, but didn't really understand that combination of Linden with what's that color? Iceland green. It's a leather color
Yep,
on the inside,
that's
which was
right.
done custom. And it's so beautiful. And it's such a polarizing, but I fall right on the I love that. I think that turned out it's well executed. And Arling from R Strata did his interior, his seats and things like that. And the car is just beautiful.
Yeah, the inserts are like nothing you've ever seen, but they somehow just perfectly fit the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Tom's ethos because I remember him specifically saying to me he likes controversial specs. and
wins.
I liked
Yeah,
that.
he
Like, I
definitely
was like,
wins.
yeah, as soon as he rolled up, I'm like, no, I get it. This is a cool car. That's a real highlight car. I think the Ruby Stone 964 RS was pretty special too. At least from K1. Those are some highlights. And I could never discount the Aston Martin Racing Green Spider because it really is. It's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
And at K2, the olive green 991.2 Touring we had, a really wonderful collector, keeps a beautiful collection of things and keeps off the radar. But when he was offered to bring that car and he sent me a picture of it, I nearly fell over. I was like, I didn't even know this existed, let alone existed within 60 minutes of our
Sure.
event.
Yep.
And I believe that is one of 3 that were ever built. The dark sea blue car, much along the same lines, was one of 2. Like there's none, or one of, I can't remember. Maybe it was one of 3 or 2.
yeah. So
but it's a
really
tiny
low.
number.
Yep.
But both of those weigh heavily for me. They're stunning. And on a purely nerdy level, today's from K2, the one that I adored and worked hard to get to the event was the Aubergine Dakar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was a good one to roll in.
You don't see a lot of Dakars.
No,
I get
no.
that.
Yeah.
You definitely don't see a lot of purple paint to sample Dakars. And when I knew the car existed and I had hounded multiple people to connect to the owner, and eventually about a week before the event, we got the commitment that they were going to bring the car. And I just love that car. Porsche Center Vaughn posted photos of it recently, and I was so tempted to ask if it was for sale because I love that car.
I thought it was. I thought it is.
I'm not sure. I've been on their webpage. I haven't
Okay.
looked.
I was just going to ask if it's still for sale. I honestly thought it was posted. But
If it's posted at the $400,000 mark, I can't play the game. But
Well, it will be,
I
so.
do
Yeah.
love that car.
Yeah.
It's got comfort seats and silver stitch. It's got everything that I like.
It's a gorgeous car.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a lot of rare cars at this show.
Yeah, we
We skipped over the 000. Adams.
Oh yeah, Adams. Yeah, that's a really rare car. Yeah. Unless I think they built 39 cars and his is a one of one. It's because the colors, right? The color palette was. I'm gonna butcher this. GT silver, Albert blue, slate gray, Brewster green. I think.
Sounds right.
Yes.
Can't
that
remember.
is true.
And then
That is
his
true.
car is a one of one in Gentian, which was built at
Right.
the end of the production run. And I don't know if it was the last car, but it's a really special car.
Gentian against the Ascot looks.
Yeah, it's a
It's like a
stunning
baseball
combination.
glove interior. It's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a stunning
Forgot
combination.
about that. Yeah.
Oh, it's
And,
stunning.
also owned by another real gem of a human being. Adam.
Yeah, he's a great
He's a really
human.
good
Yeah.
guy.
The more we talk about this, to your point, it's hard to discount all of
No.
them or sort of, because they were all really
Oh, we
good.
can name
but-
them all.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. Yeah, this
The
is why I
Ocean-
sort of
the
brushed
Ocean
them.
yeah,
Jade
yeah.
Boxster.
Oh, I love that
Right?
car. Yeah.
That was funny.
Like
Those guys rolled in.
986 Boxster.
Yeah,
right?
96. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I
I-
like that non-discriminatory, right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter
I
if you
don't
spend
care.
400 on it or 40.
20,000. Don't
Yeah,
care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
don't
irrelevant.
care. The Ocean Jade car is a funny story. I went to the bank one time in the mint car, and I noticed the woman behind the bank telling desk staring at the mint car from the window. And another woman said, "Is everything okay?" And I was just overhearing the conversation. And she said, "Oh, there's this mint green car out here. It's just dazzling." So I said, "Oh, I own that car." And we had a chit chat. And she says, "Oh, I have this Ocean Jade Boxster." And I said, are you serious? She said, yeah, definitely. We've had it for years. And I said, you need to bring that to our event. And I sent her the link via her RBC. She gave me an RBC business card. I sent her an email, and she brought the car. And I love the car. I think, even with the aftermarket wheels, I like everything about it. I think it's a really vibey of that generation. I love it. And they're very proud of that car. I love the color.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were great people. They hung out all day and talked to everybody.
Was it automatic?
I don't remember that part, honestly, Sean. I don't know
either.
Arguably, though, that color is probably more rare than half of the colors in the parking lot.
Heck yeah.
So it's really cool to land those. We also had another Boxer from that generation, Arena Red, which is sort of funny because you imagine Arena Red is going to be common, but you just don't see them.
No.
They just don't
Those the
exist.
Chicago guys?
No, he's
Where are
from
they
the
from?
area here. I can't remember where he came from, but when he told us he had the Arena Red car, I was just so happy because you get.
Yeah.
I think we had 5 reds at the second event.
Did you have a Carmine at the first?
Yes. Dan, really good guy with the 992 GTS lightweight package,
Yeah, that was
6-speed
nice.
manual.
Yeah.
That's the kind of GT3 light, right? The one you can't get anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's some brief history of my nerdiness and all of our nerdiness.
So give us this is where they ask you, where can you buy your book? So again, we're at June 8th.
Yeah. Sunday, June 8th.
Sunday, 9 to 1. Don't show up early. Buy a ticket, which will go live on Eventbrite
On Friday.
January 31st.
January 31st.
If you have a fantastic car in an interesting color that is a Porsche,
Yeah.
you can register and we'll see you there. And there'll be lots of activities. I assume this is going to become more of a weekend event for the 4 of us or more because this is a little out of town.
The venue
it's gonna be a
will
lot of
have
fun.
we'll have coffee and snacks and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and a food truck and all that typical stuff we always try to bring out. And one real win versus last year's event when our bathroom trailer arrived without power, which was gutting. This year our bathrooms actually have it's a building bathroom, so we don't have to rely on a gorgeous white trailer that gets rolled in. I really want to make sure I shout out the bathroom people, even though they rolled up with the wrong trailer. They ended up donating us the bathrooms for the event for last year, so I really appreciate that. We never paid that bill, and they said, don't worry about it, it's for charity. So I really do appreciate that, which increased our donation dramatically.
Nice.
Anyway, nerds on Porsche. Sorry, guys, this was a Porsche heavy.
Yeah, for sure it was.
So that weekend I've asked my wife to babysit our children, Dylan, aka parent them, and I will be MIA. Nice.
Hey, thanks for attending. I really not to sound cheesy. I really appreciate all your help. Mike's sort of become my number 2 man. I rely on him for a lot of stuff, and Dylan's becoming the number 2.5. He's falling right into that window. I really appreciate it. We've brought you. Look how far you've come. You bought a blue 911, and now you're.
I know it's been a journey, and it's been what
He has a to-do list.
Yeah.
He's on the board.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, maybe we'll post a photo of that inspiration. I love that photo.
I think we should for sure.
That's worthwhile.
Yeah.
And we'll post maybe the video link to the Kaleidoscope events. We were lucky that the guys from Project One shot both. So it was nice that
Awesome
they came
guys.
out and
Give them a
donated
follow.
their time. Yeah, really great guys. Obviously super talented. And we're clearly not in their orbit, but we really appreciate them coming out to help us because they're shooting cars for mega millionaires and collectors.
Yeah.
And we're just a little.
We did kind of forget about the quartz.
Which?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Oh, Quartz, the DLS?
Yeah.
It's a stunning car. I don't really know what else to
That
say.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it was just cool to see it show up really early and make all the noise.
Yeah,
All
it
the
sure
no-
does.
all the
Sorry,
noise
yeah,
at
it does make all the noise.
5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. But
You
that is a
beat
big
me
thing.
there.
Like I'll say that.
Beat me there too.
Yeah.
Was there before me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And then I will say this episode really does, I think, help the listeners and event attendees see a little glimpse behind the curtain and see, how much time and effort it really does take to run this event. It's not a Cars and Coffee that starts at 9. Like
No.
it's not like, hey, we open the doors at 8:50, roll in.
No.
This takes months and hours and a lot of connections to bring through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I guess the simple math could be that I own 50 pylons now. Ask me in my life if I ever thought I'd own a pylon, let alone 50 pylons. I also have a measuring wheel.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I walk with a measuring wheel and mark things down and set it with its little foot on the ground. You know, that measuring wheel type.
Kickstand.
Kickstand. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it. Yeah, the little foot. Yeah, it's a ton of work. I appreciate it. And I can't do it without the team. There's no doubt about that. It's a ton of work.
Do you want to hawk the Instagram handle for those who can spell Kaleidoscope?
Yeah, the Instagram handle's Kaleidoscope Show. It's KLEIDOSCOPE Show. Kaleidoscope Show. New webpage coming also, which is thekaleidoscopeshow.com.
Nice.
Just in development, we're lucky that a local web guy is doing it for us as a pro bono to help us out. Really appreciate that.
Nice.
That's
Check out the page. There's all of the photos from 1 and 2.
Sure, they're all there. Yeah.
The highlights. I would
If
say.
you look at our highlights reel, there's each year, and there's multiple highlights reels for each year because we received so many photos. There was thousands.
Yeah.
But I'm very much looking forward to K3. Lots of work to go.
Yeah. So
4 months runway. I have a countdown on my computer. I think it's 150 something days away. Not that I think I looked at it 2 days ago. It was 157, something like that. It's not that far away.
We'll see you,
Perfect.
we'll
Before you
see
know
you
it.
there.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks guys. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Au revoir.
Bye.